Alright tech family, with me is the Asus Zenbook Pro 16X OLED for 2023, a high-end laptop for creators that also has all the hallmarks of a great laptop for someone looking for high performance while also wanting portability and the ability to game on the side. For example, a software developer who likes to play some AAA games in their downtime. I know a lot of people like that. Now, I am knee-deep in doing some big roundup videos on smaller laptops, but Asus wanted me to take a break and review this one. So they've sponsored this video. As you know, I normally don't do sponsored reviews, and initially I was concerned about it. Specifically, will this add an element of bias to my review? But as I started testing, I found pros and some cons, like I normally do. Asus encouraged me to talk about both without requiring a review of the video before I publish it. So I thought I'd give it a go. After watching, let me know with a comment below if you feel I'm being just as tough as I normally am. So let's get into it. The Asus Zenbook Pro 16X has incredibly powerful components inside. You've got an Intel i9-13905H processor that I measured pulling 137 watts of power, paired with an RTX 4080 that can draw 160. These are big boy numbers. This is all combined with 32GB of LPDDR5X RAM and a roomy 2TB of storage. Just an FYI, this is exactly the configuration of memory and storage that we use at this YouTube channel for editing our videos. So I think this laptop is appropriately configured for its primary use case as a high-end laptop for creators. I immediately tried editing some of our most recent video projects on the laptop, which includes tons of different 4K clips, effects, color grades, etc. And I can say from the moment I fired up one of the projects, this laptop is fast. Even though the project loaded slower than on my MacBook Pro 16 and it did score less in Puget's Premiere Pro benchmark, I personally felt editing on this laptop was just as snappy, if not snappier, than on my MacBook Pro 16. And by the way, my MacBook Pro 16 has Apple's highest end M2 Max chip, as well as 32GB of memory and 2TB of storage, like I said. Now, when it comes to exporting that complex video project, my MacBook Pro 16 beat it by a little bit, but that being said, they were very close. And by the way, I didn't even need to use this laptop's performance mode for such a good editing experience. It was also extremely snappy on the default standard mode. And on that mode, the fan noise was a lot less than on performance mode. On the topic of fan noise, normally Windows laptops would have jet engine-like fan noise for high-performance tasks, but this laptop, when on standard mode, was actually quite decent. You will notice the fan noise in a quiet room, but it really isn't that disturbing. It's a very low whir. Also, there is a whisper mode which makes the laptop's fans inaudible. You do see a significant drop in performance though on that mode, which lowers the power draw to a max of 70 watts and an average of 37. That's for our 10-minute torture test. But honestly, that's still decent performance. That's high-end Ultrabook level. In casual tasks like browsing the web or working on Office documents, this laptop is very quiet. Also, due to the design that lifts up the keyboard deck for better airflow, the keyboard didn't get warm to the touch at all, even when doing performance-intensive tasks. This laptop has an RTX 4080, which is incredibly powerful. Not only does it help with creative applications, but if you want a game in your downtime, this laptop definitely has you covered. And it has a mux switch, so you can get the most performance out of the graphics. This laptop has a fast 120Hz refresh rate screen, which will help make the gaming experience even better, as well as any movement on screen look silky smooth. And talking about the display, it is stunning. The OLED panel is extremely crisp, bright, and very color accurate. By the way, my brightness measurements here may look low because this is SDR content, not HDR being measured. In real life, this is one of the brightest screens I've used. Due to the quality of the display, I was very comfortable running the screen at 175% window scaling, so I could see more content on screen. This resulted in me comfortably being able to see 45 rows of Excel without needing to squint. This is a good result, but not as good as on my MacBook Pro 16. Apple's macOS always does very well in this test, by the way, as it does an excellent job of showing a large amount of information on the display. And the display also supports touch. And the laptop comes with a pen, which you can use to write on it. In my testing, the pen worked extremely well, and the display's hinge was rigid enough to offer a good drawing experience for a screen that doesn't lie flat. The good stuff doesn't end here. This laptop feels premium. The keyboard deck and screen both are rigid with little to no flex. And when the lid is closed, the laptop is surprisingly small, especially when you factor in how powerful it is. Compared to other high-end Windows laptops, for example, the XMG Neo 16, that laptop is much thicker and heavier than this one. That does have a more powerful processor though, but to be honest, this laptop's processor is already very powerful, and it's unlikely you need anything more. So I'd take the trade-off for a more portable laptop like this one. Compared to other creator laptops, it weighs a little bit more than the MacBook Pro 16 and similar to the Dell XPS 17. The ports, both their selection and speeds, are excellent on this laptop. You've got an HDMI 2.1 port, 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, a USB A port, and a super fast SD card reader that supports the next generation of SD cards, with speeds up to 1 GB per second. You've also got an external 1 gigabit Ethernet dongle. You've got a comfortable keyboard to type on with adequate travel and a satisfying click. The trackpad is extremely accurate, and it is a haptic one, which is great. This means the trackpad doesn't physically move when you click it, and therefore you do not lose accuracy when you click in the bottom left and right corners, like you sometimes do on a mechanical one. It's also very large, and the palm rejection worked just well enough, and I say that because I did notice around 1 to 2 missed clicks per day out of the days I used it. The laptop offers both a fingerprint reader and Windows Hello facial recognition to get you logged in fast. And the webcam is good enough for a Zoom call, but it's certainly not the best webcam I've used. Lastly, pricing is actually pretty good. Asus informs me that this config will be on sale for $2,600 US. The MacBook Pro 16 that you've seen me compare this to, which has similar specs, comes in at almost $4,000, and the XPS 17 with an RTX 4080 costs even more. Alright, regardless of this being a sponsored video, I'm going to do my thing and tell you what I don't like about this laptop. Firstly, although I found some of Asus's innovation worked well, like the raised keyboard deck for better airflow, others fell short. The Asus dial, I get what they are trying to do. Theoretically, it would be awesome to scrub through timelines by rotating a dial, but in practice, this one just doesn't achieve that goal. The first problem is its placement. It is right under where your left palm is. In this position, you will frequently accidentally hit it, disturbing your workflow. I ended up having to just turn it off for this reason. It really needs to be placed somewhere where your hands aren't. Next, it's meant to have support for Premiere Pro, but when we tested it, it scrolled through the timeline extremely slowly compared to what you would normally want to do. And this issue even occurred when we upped the settings to the highest sensitivity. Look, you can configure it to all different things in Asus's software, but I just didn't find anything it offered easier than doing the same task via another means. To me, it shows promise, but right now this feels like an alpha feature that really needs ironing out. Honestly, same goes for Asus's number pad built into the trackpad. Sometimes it just didn't work. Either it didn't turn on and off when I pressed the area that should do that, or it just didn't register the numbers as I clicked them. Alright, let's revisit the keyboard. A couple of things. Firstly, the keyboard layout definitely takes time to get used to. There's a column of home page up keys on the right side that pushes some of the keys to the left from where they normally are. For the first hour or so of using the laptop, I had a lot of missed presses, and you could hear me swearing in frustration throughout the house. After that though, I got used to the layout and it wasn't a problem. I want to acknowledge, many people love having physical home, page up, down and end keys, so some folks may find this a plus. But if you're using this laptop in conjunction with other keyboards that have standard keyboard layouts, you may find this an issue as you swap between computers. If this is your only laptop, you probably won't find it a problem at all. But before we move on, has anyone noticed in my B-roll, all these keys are already secondary function keys built into the arrow keys? That whole column of keys is duplicative. The other con with the keyboard is that even though the keyboard deck itself remains cool to the touch with its lifted up design, the palm rest can feel noticeably warm. I'm specifically talking about when the laptop is doing high performance tasks. For casual tasks though, the palm rest remains very cool to the touch. Look, this is a con, but I think it's manageable, especially when compared to other Windows laptops, like Asus's own G14, which gets a lot warmer to the touch for similar performance tasks. Next, using this laptop in a scenario where your hands are close to your body, like using it on your lap, it just isn't comfortable. The keyboard angled up forces your wrist to be at an uncomfortable angle. This will likely also be an issue when used on a plane's tray table. Next, the sound quality. The speakers on this laptop are decent enough. They are loud and powerful. However, they lack bass, and playing music feels noticeably odd without bass. The MacBook Pro 16 speakers are better, as are the Alienware X16s. Next, when you pull out the power or put it back in, the screen goes black for a duration of time. It's really weird. And next, battery life. It isn't great. I ran a Netflix video on repeat over Wi-Fi for 4 hours with the display's brightness lowered to 200 nits. This was on the laptop's best battery settings. At the end of the test, I recorded 13% battery remaining, so expect more than 4 hours for this use case, but less than 5. Now, when running high performance tasks on battery, performance dropped a lot, even when on performance settings, and expect it to last around 2 hours for CPU tasks. Overall, don't buy this laptop if you plan to use it a lot on battery. Expect to use it with a charger. The good news here is it does support USB-C charging, which is great as you can just carry a small charger with you on the days that you don't need the laptop's full power. However, all charging capable ports are on the left side, so you'll need to run the charging cable around the back if your outlet is on the other side, which could get in your way. Next, the display. Although utterly amazing, it does use PWM flickering below around 80% brightness. I normally run my laptops at close to full brightness, so I personally found this to be a non-issue. Plus, it is pretty normal for OLED panels to do this, but I thought I'd mention it anyway. Next, the memory is soldered, which Asus claims is to allow faster memory frequency. However, I think more people would prefer upgradable memory. The storage, though, is upgradable. Finally, I hate when laptops serve you up advertisements, especially when you've turned off notifications. Plus, this laptop is not cheap. It's a premium laptop that you are paying top dollar for. There should be no advertisements on it at all. Well, that's it. Overall, I like this laptop. I think it really shines for someone looking for a very powerful yet somewhat portable laptop. It would be great for programmers and video editors, for example. Yes, there is the MacBook Pro 16, which has positives over this laptop, such as longer battery life, better performance on battery, better speakers, and for high performance tasks, it doesn't get as warm to the touch and is significantly quieter. But there are a lot of people for whom this Zenbook Pro would be a better choice. Those who want a great AAA gaming experience, for example, which the MacBook Pro 16 it just can't really offer. Those who want things like drawing on the screen. Those who want to save a ton of money for a very similar premium laptop experience. Or those who just don't want to use macOS. And even though I listed quite a few cons, I don't think any of them are really gating issues for this type of laptop. Well, that's all for today, folks. If you like this video, you know what to do. Smash that like button and get subscribed. Not only does it show your appreciation for the insane amount of work that goes into making these, but as I always say, it makes my mother very proud. Actually, it makes my dad proud too. Make sure you also check out my new channel, which I'll link down below. Till next time, go do something awesome with your day, and I will catch you later.